Welcome, Vibrillionaire soul greetings of the one breath that breathes us, the one pulse that vibrates as us, the one field that witnesses us, that we are one. What a beautiful gift to be alive, to experience this life, to enjoy this life. And even you may be saying, well, you're not looking at my life. I'm talking about beyond the narratives and the dialogue and the commentary and what we subscribe to on a daily basis, even before social media came online. What were we subscribing to? What were we investing in? Because attention is the greatest currency, and that's what we're going to share today. So take a moment to take a breath and really drop in and feel the breath that breathes you, that breathes us all. Take a moment to put the hand to the heart and feel this beautiful rhythm of this dance of consciousness happening in the heart between the pulse and the silence. That pause. Notice the pause between the breath, the inhale, and then the exhale. Notice the pause between the thoughts, between words. That is what animates all existence. The dream is everything else. The pause invites us to presence, to experience what already remains beyond thought, beyond word, beyond experience, beyond the commentary of the dualistic nature of human consciousness. Take a moment to sit with that and experience that. What does that feel like? Because this podcast is not about more information. I mean, if we look at the image, we have two paradoxes that humanity has judged for eons. Judge nature, right? We call people that honor nature heretics, hermits, witches, etc. And now what are we doing with technology? We're doing the same thing. Some of us are fearing it, some of us are worshiping it, and very rare few are sitting with that presence. That technology is nothing new. This is technology, as much as this is technology. But it's the mind that separates and divides reality to justify, to keep your attention fixated. What I mean by you, the consciousness that you are, the authentic, organic substance of the source of life itself, not separate, never separate. So we're going to share today about who do you listen to and why do you listen to what you listen to? What is the return on that investment? What is the return on that investment? Because here we're on signal 5, gate 5 of the wave, the third wave. And why are we calling it the third wave? Because 3 weeks ago, we started with who do you listen to? And we shared throughout the week, who do you listen to? And then we had the first ever global silent, uh, excuse me, global social media fast, which was about silence. And not that you had to go in a cave and escape reality or avoid reality. But the invitation was to take those pauses and take those opportunities to experience what's always been underneath social media, underneath the mind and senses before AI came online, before social media came online. There was something that was vibrantly alive, awake, aware, and aligned in the here and now. It's been here. With or without our attention, it's been here. Even before our birth of existence, it's been here. So think about that. For the first time, in humanity's consciousness, taking a pause there, for the first time in humanity's consciousness, we are experiencing the first ever social media fast. Think about that. Social media didn't exist before. So how could we have a social media fast? But before social media, we had protests, we had resistances, we had rebellions. Because why? We didn't want to be ran by an external power, but yet we subscribe to an external power. And not that this is a bad or a good thing. We're simply addressing the elephant in the room, per se. So we're not calling social media bad. If you've been following the vibrillin air frequency, we don't judge anything as good or bad. We look what's underneath the judgment that separates and divides and goes at war with its own reality, which is the human mind. So we're going to share our screen again. Just one moment. Okay, so here we go. So signal 5, gate 5 of the third wave, which we said the second wave was the global social media fast, which we have, which we meant to share that. So give us 1 second. We meant to share the social media fast. That's why we went to go share the screen. Okay. Let's just share the screen in general. We're trying to keep it professional. Okay, so here we have the screen. Looks like we're sharing. Okay. There we are. There I am. Okay, so here is the week of silence. There was a collective social media fast in the first time ever, because we've only had social media for the last couple of decades. You know, it started with MySpace, and then it went to Facebook, and now we have all these different aspects of social media. Now we have WhatsApp, we have LinkedIn, Instagram, and a plethora of other social media, Telegram, all kinds of different social medias as portals. Because we're not here for more information, as we can Google information Any information we need, we can Google it. But we're here to mirror the heart's awareness. Because we invite you to come, not merely to listen, but come discover who is listening, which that is the greatest disclosure. That is the greatest conspiracy. The one that we believed that was running the show, that we thought was the master, that we would blame governments, institutions, religions, organizations, society, blaming our mother, our father, etc., ignoring what was underneath the hood, the engine of the human mind. So technology has evolved, but the question is, has our attention? What is our attention fixated on today? We went from vinyl to streaming, and now we call live streaming. We went from landlines. Does anybody remember that when we had to, plug our phones in, not just to charge, but so that we can talk on the phone, we had to plug our phones in. And now we have smartphones. And our smartphones are outsmarting many humans. And what I mean by this, with love and respect, is that we are dependent so much on our phones that we are forgetting the consciousness that experiences the phone. Think about that for a second. Think about how valuable that is, that human attention is being afraid of the very technology that its own mind has channeled. Think about that for a second. Think about that. The human mind has become afraid of its own creation. And when you ask it to sit with that creation, it finds every excuse in the book to keep itself busy, to keep itself moving, distracted, entertained, which we call entertainment, right? And now we have typewriters. Excuse me, we had typewriters before. And even then, think about this, we had telegrams. We wrote, and that was before what we call snail mail. For many of you, maybe you're not going to know or familiar with this, but snail mail was when you had to write on a piece of paper and you had to mail to the postman or postwoman that took 3 days to get there. And then they read it, they wrote, and then the time that it took for them to read and write, because some didn't respond right away, then 3 days to get back to you, and sometimes longer, depending where you were. And that's why it's called snail mail. But before that, it was telegram. That it would be horse and buggy that would take weeks at a time to get information to another person. And then we went to typewriters. Then we went to email. And now we have AI. So information was scarce. It was word of mouth 100 years ago. Like we said, telegrams were available. But 200 years ago, it was word of mouth. It was a bird that you would attach a little note to and fly the bird. That was the most advanced technology, is a bird. So you would tie a message on a bird and send it. That was the fastest human technology that we had. And now we can instantaneously connect, communicate, collaborate. Information is everywhere, instantly. But how is it that we as a collective feel alone, feel forgotten, And with all the access to all the information, we feel more confused than ever. Because we Google podcasts, we Google courses, we Google workshops, certifications, and etc. And we're not putting those things down because it got us to where we are. But the age of information is over. Now, that doesn't mean we don't still play with it, but to depend on information, you're only going to be a copy paste clone version of the information that you receive. We're here to awaken the greatest technology, which is intuition, insight, intelligence. So, excuse the typo on the screen. What is missing now? Reaction, which that's not so much missing because there's more reactivity in the world today, but observation, discernment, wisdom, and presence. Discernment is a great gift. Don't even accept this message that you hear today. Question it. Feel deeper. Recognize what's underneath the surface. Recognize who is talking, who is commenting. Because the dreamer convinces you as consciousness, as God, as universe, as source and form, to accept blindly what you're told, what you see, what you experience, what you think. When you are much more, beloved, you're much more than you can ever even imagine. And consciousness is the greatest currency. And this is the invitation to come home here and now. And this is brought to you what was channeled 10 years ago. That is the testimony to this, is the vibranium richness. That this didn't exist 10 years ago. It was not in the physical field. But just like when we were kids and we heard something on TV and we're like, I was just thinking about that the other day and somebody invented it. So we're all channeling consciousness. We're all channeling existence, but is it channeling reaction? Or is it channeling wisdom so that we can experience the presence that is always here? So we're here to unveil the human mind that is the most ancient AI. We're not here to worship or fear AI. It's always been here. It's always been here. And we would love to bring a picture that we're going to go look for real quick. So we're going to pause this. Actually, we're going to go back to the prior screen. Give us 1 second. We're going to go look for an image that our beautiful Scotty B had posted, a beautiful brother and friend, posted recently about the evolution of technology. Okay, let's see. So while we pull that up, we want to invite yourself to take a pause and breathe while we look this up. Here we go. So okay. So here we go. We're going to share the screen again. Okay, so there we are. So this was an image that was shared online. And if we look at this, this inspired Like, who do you listen to? Because all of these are instruments that we listen through, that we perceive, experience, and then we relate and we compare and we compete in a reality that we think we're against each other. We think that we have to get ahead of the other. You know, you have a better phone. Oh, you don't have that good of a phone. Oh, you have a better studio. You know, so I'm gonna give you more attention because yours looks better than another's or whatever. And the thing is, all of this is just mirrors of what's always been here. The music is the music of nature, the singing of birds. The television is of the human mind. What do you imagine? Before television existed, we used our imagination. And the telephone represents communication, conversation. The internet represents how interconnected we are. And the banking system represents the very value is our attention of consciousness. What we value, we will pay attention to and we will invest. And that's not just physical things, that's conversation. If we don't have interest, we're not going to be invested. Photography, how much do we have this fear of missing out? That if we don't experience this, if we don't see this, if we don't, and Michael is a little bit plain in this department, if we don't take a picture of this, if we don't record this, so we photograph reality, and the eyes are the greatest photographers in the human experience. Transportation, we started from our feet, and then we created the wheel, and then now we created wings. And work and productivity. What was work and productivity, beloved? Work and productivity before was tending the garden, tending the land, tending our home. And now work has become consumer producer, which is where we're at. So we're not saying to judge it. We're saying to be aware of what's beyond it. So now we reveal the human mind, which in that picture that we just shared here, to give context to the human mind that has channeled all this technology, that for the majority of what you see on this screen, Nikola Tesla was the channel that all of this came through, that the majority of this came through. Yet very little do we know about Nikola Tesla, because others wanted the attention for profit when Tesla wanted humanity to experience free energy. And what is the freest energy, beloved? Consciousness. So we're going to dive into this. And if you would love to dive deeper, we offer a masterclass on the 7 laws of the mind, from AI mind to soul I am presence. So before we feared what machines learned, I mean, think about it. When the first smartphone came out, we rejected it. When the internet came out, Steve Jobs, we rejected it. When Tesla said that we would be able, Nikola Tesla, the real Tesla, when Nikola Tesla said that we would be able to speak without any wires, they called him crazy. And Marconi, who took Tesla's idea, that was not even Tesla's idea, we forgot to give credit where credit is more sourcely reflected, is Swami Vivekananda. That was Nikola Tesla's mentor, mirror, that revealed to Tesla that the greatest technology is the investigation of the inner technology. And so Tesla shared with Marconi. Marconi invented the first cell phone, and they locked him up. They called him crazy. So humanity fears what we don't understand. But yet when we can transcend the fear of judgment, a fear of what we don't know, we can experience what's always been here now. So the human mind, in simple terms, because we break this down even deeper in the 7 laws of the mind. And then that's even the introductory, because we have the 7 laws of the mind, which we go into the 7 laws of the heart, and then we go into the 7 laws of presence. So when we have an event, the mind interprets that event, and it's even deeper and simpler, which, like we said, we invite those that are feeling interested that this is going to affect every aspect of your reality, because this is how the human mind operates, interprets, reflects, and projects and repeats like a rinse and repeat cycle, which copy and clones reality because it is looking for the path of least resistance so that it doesn't have to work hard, so that it could just repeat what's familiar. And then we experience reality and we call it reality. But it's really just a perspective of a vast reality of actuality. So the human mind experiences an event, it interprets it from the lenses of fear or love, judgment, acceptance, which is still a subtler form of division, but it is more clear and less diluted, less busy and noisy from the human collective current mind state. So we interpret reality. The mind interprets reality. Remember, we're consciousness. We are the awareness that all of this is flowing through. Without awareness, none of this is possible. So the mind interprets reality. And remember, the mind is just doing what it does best. We're not here to judge it. We're not here to worship it. We're not here to fear it. We're here to unveil, to disclose the greatest disclosure, which is not about aliens and angels and demons and all of this. It's about the consciousness that was convinced and dreamed that it was the spectator, that the human mind pretended to be the master, the leader, the dictator, the terrorist, the villain, or the healer, the savior, the fixer. Does that sound familiar? So from this point, it interprets reality. And from that perspective, it reacts to reality and very little responds. And from that reactiveness of reality, then 97% of the world is in fight or flight, living stress 97% of their day, 97% of their life, from 97% of their mind, that repeats this unconsciously through the subconscious, that the subconscious is the servant and vessel of the superconscious, which is non-dual, non-judgmental, non-attached, unconditional awareness. That from this reactiveness, that 97% of the world lives, 97% of the mind of the world lives projected world lives repeating. And therefore we create an identity. And from this identity, we enslave ourselves, forgetting the sovereignty of who we are. And then what do we say? This is just who I am. This is all I know. And we live at the mercy of others to tell us who we are. And we blame governments, institutions, just as much as we blame, which these are fractals of that programming, just like we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame society, we blame politics, we blame big pharma, we blame conspiracies, we blame governments, we blame the world. Do you see the pattern? When we can go to the source, this is why we offer support. all of this shifts instantaneously. Recognition quantumly transforms reality. But the question is, do we get distracted or do we stay present? Do we stay grounded? Do we stay here and now? So what does your attention return, beloved? Attention is currency. The greatest wealth is not found on a piece of paper. The greatest wealth is not found on a transfer, on your bank account, on how much followers you have, how much digits you have in a bank. They really are not even real. Money is not even real. And now we have the proof of concept, which is cryptocurrency. EFTs, I think that's what they're called. When you can create an image and sell that image and make thousands, if not millions, even make, a couple dollars. But we're seeing that money is not real. What is the real wealth, beloved? Is currency, is consciousness. In humanity, when we share this consciousness, when we channel it together, when we unite, money translates, because that is the perspective of what we perceive and have adopted and subscribed and invested attention to believe what value is. But no matter how much money you have or you don't have, life is never enough. So every repeated investment shapes the world we experience. What is the return on investment in your life, beloved? Is it more reactivity? Is it more stress? Is it more depression? And we're not here to mentally diagnose or claim to heal, treat, or cure anything. What we're addressing is the one that has said that there's a division. Because look at what's in the middle of the screen, attention. So comparison, competition, conflict, chaos, crisis, agitation, scarcity from stress. That the body was not, let's just share this for a moment. The body was not designed to live in endless stress 97% of the day. It was a survival mechanism back in the ancient times when we had to run for our lives, run from predators, animals. But what does nature do? It regulates its system. It harmonizes its field. And that is intelligence. But yet humanity has believed that it is advanced more than nature, because it is subscribed to what the human mind has projected outside of itself to convince itself it's advanced. But yet 97% of our minds live 97% of our days, 97% of our lives. They will rinse and repeat this pattern, but yet we call that advancement. Now look at the middle, attention. Sit with this for a moment. What is your attention manifesting? What endless scrolling, it's kind of funny, scroll, like a scroll of secret, mystical information that was hidden from human consciousness, that is not complex. The reason why it's mystical, because it's simple. See, this is simple. This won't entertain the mind and senses. It's like, oh, I got to do the work. You're already doing the work, beloved. You're already invested in so much stress that we can reverse engineer that, investigate, and honor what's already here, and activate and awaken once again what's always been underneath the mind. Clarity, compassion, coherence, this aliveness of this awareness of this I amness of presence. And we're simply a channel, we're simply a vessel. We're experiencing this human experience on a daily basis with you. We experience fear, We experience stress, we experience anxiety, tension, but the attention immediately comes online to expose the dreamer. That this happens maybe minutes, seconds, and even only happens in the mind was like, oh, we're about to speak, we're about to act, we're about to role play this actor. Because Shakespeare said, life is a stage. What does life look like to you? Because the greatest ROI may be the return of attention to the richness already alive within. Think about that. We're going to repeat that one more time. The greatest ROI may be, so something to think about, something to investigate, something to ponder and meditate on, because meditation is not the way. It is a technology, and you're already using it, beloved. Your attention is your meditation. It's the point of object, of the point of the object, the point of the object of your attention, of the observer, observing, consciousness, dream, forgetfulness, or remember, awareness, and recognize I amness. So, did we forget something? So, and if we don't get to go through this the whole way, because we're coming up to the 10 a.m. Party, let me see how many people are, how many beautiful mirrors, because we may be called crazy, but we don't adopt that we're simply people. People is like this computer. People are like this phone. That's not to lessen the value of people, connection, and humanity. It's actually to honor it, because this is the greatest technology. We worship more our technology, external extended technology, than we do value human life. And that's why so many are becoming desensitized, numb, and feeling empty, lost, and confused of the human experience. So, artificial and original intelligence plus original intelligence. AI is a mirror, beloved, not the source. Remember, we reflected, we pointed that AI has been around for thousands of years. It was the artificial construct of identity itself. The one that says I'm not enough or I'm better than you. The one that says it's a criminal, and the one that says it's a law-abiding citizen. The one that says it's a villain or a hero. The one that says it's a healer and someone is toxic. These are all just identities. What's underneath all those identities? Because you know that at one point in time and on a daily basis, you experience the villain in your life, the one that says you're not enough, the one that says you're not worthy, the one that says you're not divine, you're not the child of God, the child of source, the child of the universe, the child of life, the child of light, and the one that says that, excuse us, the one that says that you're toxic, you're a sinner, you're bad, you're wrong, or that says you're right, and you worship the false light of the God of information, which is right. As long as I think I'm right, I'll never question what's possibly beyond what's right and wrong. Excuse us. So AI is a mirror, not the source. More capable tools, excuse us. More capable tools make wisdom, discernment, compassion, and stewardship more important, not less. So tools are important, just like meditation is a tool. Just like prayer is a tool. Just like play is a tool. But the weapons become when we use those tools and we manifest stress. We manifest reactiveness, which the nuclear reactiveness of human consciousness is the energy against the self, which is not just you. When you judge another, you judge yourself. As a beautiful mirror once said, judge not lest ye be judged. Or the one that has not sinned, cast the first stone. You were sharing the light of awareness. AI can process language. AI can identify patterns. AI can generate media. AI can accelerate human intention. And when we say AI, we say that loosely because we don't call AI AI. We call it a mirror. Because what we just shared processes language, identifies patterns, generates media, the medium of reality. It accelerates human intention. That's the human brain. But the soul is the original intelligence, which offers unconditionally, no matter where you are, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, no matter how distracted you've become, immediately offers awareness, compassion, embodied experience, awe, curiosity, wonder at the magnificence of the greatest masterpiece that life, God, source, channels, creates, and conducts effortlessly. But yet we think our problems are too big for God. We think our challenges are too much for the universe. We think our anxiety, our stress, our reactiveness is too much for the source of all intelligence. So consciousness is the greatest cryptocurrency. So we share the reel. You can go look at that, or we can share it by us connecting even more intimately and deeper, because these are just pointings. When we come together, we channel what is beyond the one that's pointing and what's being pointed. So the greatest technology is the living instrument that is already here. This is an invitation to pause and breathe and feel this one ocean, this one flame, this one breath, this one ground of the one universal heart that we all share. Beloved, we are channels, instruments, and vessels. We are mirrors. So invite the body to relax by breathing this attention of consciousness that is the greatest relationship. Think about that relationship, which is the mirrorship of the soulship of awareness. Because the relationship is limited to how we relate with one another. The mirrorship is when we recognize that we're all part of the one. And the soulship is when we disappear and God is the master. Life leads. Love illuminates. Source presents. The universe manifests. Because life is the greatest manifestation. So I am the secret. Hashtag I am the secret. We forgot to put from locked up to freed up. I am the secret. Not another secret to possess, but an invitation to notice what is already here. So the secret is you, beloved. Go look in the mirror. You discover the greatest secret in the entire universe. But it was never a secret, because it was the most evident thing. We forgot to look. So as we come to the near closure of this, who do you listen to? And from who to from where? Because two people can hear the same words and inhabit different worlds. Fear listens to threats. And we can break this down in such simplicity that fear will no longer run your life. The ego listens for validation, which we can surgically identify and acknowledge and recognize these patterns, and no longer seeking validation to recognize the greatest value underneath the ego. The ego as servant, not the master. Scarcity listens for what is missing. So when we say, I want this, or I desire this, or I'm not enough, we experience from scarcity. When we speak as I am, we immediately connect. And not just speak, let us really demystify this. You cannot just speak the words I am and expect this. It requires, because love is not unconditional in the way that we've been taught. It requires sacrifice. It requires your surrendering this, that when you speak I am, the one that is speaking surrenders to the presence that witnesses the I am beyond words, beyond mantras, beyond practices, beyond rituals, what's already here. So this is not something that the mind can just say, oh, I'm going to go do it. So conscious listening begins before the speaker speaks. Take a pause again and ask yourself, who is listening? And what is listening? What dialogue, what words, what narratives do you hear as you hear this? As you feel this? As you sense this? As you react or respond to this? Which we can call this God, source, universe. We chose to call it presence because that invites all faiths, all practices, all people to experience that if you believe in God, you know God's presence. If you believe in the universe, you can feel the presence of the universe. If you believe in source, in life, you know you must be present to experience, let alone acknowledge it. We're going to pause this and see how many slides we have left. Okay, beloved, we're going to pause there. We're coming up to the end of today's transmission. As this was not, this is not more entertainment for the mind to divide reality and try to figure out reality. That's how it convinces us it's the illusory master. This is an invitation to recognize yourself, not as a person, but as the awareness that is witnessing the entire universe experiencing. Think about it. Have you ever wondered at the awe of every human you experience on a daily basis? Not to say every reel, every scroll, every post, every comment you experience on a daily basis. Who's experiencing that? And how can you, the little you that you think you are, experience the universe in a device? And how valuable do you consider this device that you plug it in every day because you want to experience reality? But yet, how much do you unplug to truly plug in on a daily basis the self? So we will invite. We will invite this before we go. We're not here to just give more information to feed the mind. We're here to invite a call to action. If you need support, we'll meet you where you are. Not as a teacher, not as a coach, not as an expert, not as a healer, not as a guru, but as a mirror. So that the mirror can meet itself where it's at, and the one that channels through all of life can channel through us. Because Michael, neither you are in control. When we come as we are, life supports life, as it always has, and it always will. But if we feel apart from this, if we feel abandoned by of this, if we feel alone from this, this is why we offer this support. And for those of you mirrors that are already living this life, that are sharing about the gifts of presence, of wholeness, of love, of unity consciousness, of the unified field of God, source, universe, I am presence, whatever you call it, Brahma. There's so many names for the one. Then let's come together. Let's collaborate. Whether you're a coach, you're a teacher, you're a preacher, you're a healer. Even if you call yourself a guru, we're not here to judge. We're here to come together and let God, source, universe humble us all to recognize what remains beyond personhood, beyond external technology, beyond Mother Nature, beyond Father Sky of the universe, as that awareness, that unmediated, unconditional, non-dual, non-judgmental awareness. So you do not have to carry this alone, beloved. Reach out, enter in the relationship, to discover the mirrorship, to recognize the soulship, that we're all just playing together. And for those that are feeling the collaboration, bring your gifts, your technology, your leadership, your healing, your art form, your education, your expertise, your business, your community, and let us explore what can be grounded together. Then no matter if we show up or if we don't, life is going to continue, and life takes care of life. But if we don't show up, we're going to feel that dissonance, and we're going to blame or shame the external reality. But when we recognize what's already here, every day will be a glorious celebration, an Earth Day celebration that is not a birthday on a calendar, because we celebrate 8/8 for the ones that celebrate the Lion's Gate. And we're about to experience the 8/12 eclipse. And that's beautiful. But beyond all that is what we call the vibrillionaire richness of presence. I am signature. Heaven on earth as home, here and now. So DM, connect, invite, share, tag, and let's share this field of this universal abundance of I amness, God source universe, as channels, vessels, instruments, mirrors, as one, together, here and now. Much love. We surrender this message from where it always remains, in the heart and soul of I am. Michael is simply a mirror, a vessel, an instrument, a grateful, humbled, honored avatar, instrument, mirror of one. I am.